Hi, everyone. This is ANetD, Executive Editor of Commercial Integrator, and I'm delighted to be joined today by Bobby Swartz of Advanced Network Devices as part of our Emergency Communications Deep Dive, featured in the January-February edition of CI plus SSI, as well as on both sides as part of our Deep Dive Spotlight. Welcome, Bobby. So nice to have you here.
Nice to be here. Thank you very much.
Great. So to begin with, can you tell me a little bit about your title and role at the company?
Absolutely. So I'm currently the president of Advanced Network Devices. Some of you might know me from being a longtime CEO, Midwich US Darren Marketing, way back in the day. I've been in Navy for about 17 years. Coming to Advanced Network Devices here, it's always been taking this role has always been a bit of my dream job because I've worked with them for nearly 20 years now through the distribution side. And getting back into something that really is what I'm passionate about, which is safety and actually being able to work on a product line and in a field that actually can impact people's lives, as well as being able to do, typical AV and installation technologies. This is a technology I've been truly passionate about my entire life, helping to bring them to market nearly 20 years ago. So this is the new role here at Advanced Network Devices. And what we do is really about, at the end of the day, it's about safety. So we take the utility. K-12 is one of our biggest industries. You have clocks, you have paging, all that boring stuff that you have to have. But if you can tie it up in a wrapper where you can have mass notification built in and a whole lot of capabilities beyond that, this company really put that industry on the map and continues to innovate. So I'm really excited to be here and being taken the helm and working with some of the best engineering teams in my life. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that great introduction. So my next question for you is, since you talked about how Advanced Network Devices is really in the safety space and the emergency communication space, where are you going next? Like, what is the vision, momentum for the brand?
So we've had a really great history of working in K-12, and we want to continue to push through that because schools are a really interesting area in what it's our future. We've all gone through schools, we've all worked in them, and having that technology is, again, bringing value to what has been the core communication systems that we have to have in every school, and then being able to enhance those by bringing a huge value to what's capable, making them redundant, making the systems with mass notification, being able to interface with different software, with different hardware, with fire alarm, being able to trigger gunshot detection, all these things that unfortunately we have to deal with in the United States especially, but worldwide, security and safety are a huge concern. So what we try to do is take on all those utility features and enhance them in a way that brings true value and safety to people's lives. As we continue to develop the brand here, what we're working on is really advancing with all of our software partners, bringing in that engineering prowess that we have, all those things that, Advanced Network Devices brought this type of product to the market. They invented it. This is one of the key things, is this was an idea, like, let's make a clock, let's add paging. Well, we can scroll text, we can do it in multiple ways, we can interface with anyone. It's now, what do we imagine for the future? And that is continuing what is the safety in schools, both in K-12, both in higher ed. But now over the next few years, it's what can we enhance on the software side as well with our partners? Where can we bring more value there? And it's where can we move into other industries? So to me, we have the capabilities to be the leader in safety solutions that integrate in the world that we have. But it's not just trying to make a Me Too product. It's about what are the real problems out there and how do we start to solve them, just like we did about 20 years ago. So
wonderful. So talked about how you have all these different products and all, especially for K-12 higher ed. So I know IP systems are the ones that are really coming up in the emergency communication space, like integrators are transitioning to IP-based system. So why is it so important to have these IP-based products, especially for these categories?
We've talked, I mean, it's been in AV and security and IT, it's always about the convergence for like the last decade. But as we watch acquisitions and M&A and all these things happening, we do see our industry consolidating. Everything ends up moving to the network. We're not limited by bandwidth so much anymore. Um, the key thing is making it simple. And that's where advanced network devices has really come to the market over the last 20 years. They've been ahead of everything. And that's when we look at, schools, infrastructure in particular, healthcare, anywhere beyond, even in corporate, the networks are one of the first things that's specified. You have plenty of redundancy, you have plenty of switches. The nice thing of putting everything on network is you have switches, everything's redundantly PoE. You typically have those switches backed up with redundant power. When you're talking critical communications and your core utility systems, how do I get a message across? How do I just say, hey, yeah, we've lost power, everything's good, to there's an actual event happening. You already have multiple levels of redundancy built into your networks. So when you take all these core utility systems and just put them on the network, it becomes basically plug and play. People don't want to think about, well, do I have to have another system? How many breaking points do I have in my communications? How do I do this? What they want to think about is, if I get this on the network with everything else, I already have resiliency built in, and now I know everything is just going to work. And the team here, what we provide is, that capability. You're not setting up subnets. You're not having to do all these extra items. It's put it on the network, interface it the way you need to, work with the solutions you have. Try to make something complicated relatively easy. And that's what advanced network devices has always been about.
Yeah, I like that last sentence. Try to take something complicated and make it relatively easy. And especially in a segment like emergency communications, where every second matters, right? And then having that seamless integration really puts you ahead of the game. And you already mentioned advanced network devices has been ahead of the game for the last 20 years. So my next question to you is, you've already talked about how advanced network devices is a leader in the market. But for integrators and end users, why choose this? What else does a company offer?
So for advanced network, if you're looking from the integration side, what we have done is being engineering focused. This is one of the most brilliant teams I've ever worked with in my entire career, and I've worked with quite a few brands. Not to knock anyone, but quite honestly, one of the most brilliant teams truly I've ever worked with. Coming to market it's about making what's easy for your customers to sell. Now, we could talk about things like margin stacks, all those things, and that's, we want to be the most valuable to our integrators. But at the end of the day, it's having the most simple to use solution that can also be the most complex. When we're talking about communications, when we're talking about mass notification, we're talking about safety, every customer, every client, every end user project you're working on, these aren't small projects. And there are stacks and stacks and stacks of things that have to be accounted for. One of my favorite things I always told integrators for the last 20 years, and nothing changes today, is the answer is yes. Can you integrate with that fire alarm GPIO trigger? Well, there's an access control that we need to be able to alert. Do you work with single wire software? Do you work all these things you can say yes to? And that's one of the beauties of working with advanced network devices is that, yes, we have all the fundamentals, but the answer is yes. We can make it easy to integrate with just about anything you have. Now, it's a hard message because, sure, that can become overly complicated. And you always have to tell salespeople, especially, don't oversell what you can do. But for us, it is, we've taken all that hard work and we've done it before. We've over-engineered all of our products. So if you need to integrate, if you need to have some crazy idea or just make it something super complicated to integrate all these things into, call us because we can make it easy to do those integrations. And that's one of the key things there. So over-engineered, but overly simplified in some ways is the right way, is we can make it work. And that's one of the beauties of it. There's no limitations, truly.
All in all, a true partner for every use case possible. That's how I would.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And if not, we find a way to make it work for you. And that's one of the key messages in integrators. We will take the pain of solutions integration and help them just say yes to the customer, whose this is one item on a huge checklist, usually in these types of facilities. So
Yeah, I love that. I love that how you enable everyone to be able to say yes. Um, Going forward, like what's next for the company, for 2026 and beyond, what is in the works?
So there's quite a few exciting things. The first off is being more present with our customers and where we go. So we've just had a massive rebranding, as a lot of you have seen. That's been a big change over the last few years. So it's kind of a refresh for where we want to go. Being engineering focused, there's going to be some new products, new items coming out. You guys will start to get to see some of those coming around the major trade shows, especially around InfoComm. But also, being that our products, we've manufactured, designed from electrical to firmware to mechanical here, is one of the things is to make a statement out. So coming here in February, as you guys have put this out, is Advanced Network Devices products are going to be moving to a 6-year warranty, full warranty, which is beyond anyone else in this category because we can stand behind, because we engineer, we develop. Even our green boards are made here in the United States. We actually press the silicone here. So when we control that portion of the manufacturing, we can really stand behind the product. And I think that's important. So you'll start to see a few things, but the first is standing behind the product, moving to that 6-year warranty. And then you'll start to see pieces of innovation coming out this year very quickly is new products, new developments, and then a focus also on that software integration for what we can do with our partners and all the software partners out there to, again, make it simpler, easier, more effective, to be able to work with what our customers, what our commercial integrator customers are already doing, but then also what their customers need is, how do I make this work? And that's going to be a huge focus of making it easier for everyone to do their jobs and be effective.
Wonderful. I think you've covered so much about what Advanced Network Devices is doing and how you're taking the industry forward. But I always like to ask this, is there anything else you want to talk about that I have not asked you?
I would just say is if you don't know who Advanced Network Devices is, but if you've seen IP, PoE, paging, bells, clocks, scheduling, please know that Advanced Network Devices, we might have been one of the quiet partners out there for the last 20 years. We won't be so quiet anymore, but this team, the team I've joined, really developed this, and we are committed to pushing this industry forward. So don't hesitate to give us a call, shoot us an email, fill out one of our contact forms. We are here to assist and make your life a little bit easier. So
Perfect. And I think that pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to ask today. But thank you for coming today and giving such a wonderful insight into what Advanced Network Devices offers, the way it's taking the security and AV industry forward, and how IP and PoE are so important today. So thank you for joining me.
thank you. If there's anything else, Amala, you have a wonderful day. It was great talking to you.
Perfect. Once again, this is Amla Reddy from Commercial Integrator, and do check out our website for a spotlight on emergency communications as well as a January-February edition of CI plus SSI for the emergency communications deep dive. Thank you.